Jai Hind, Jai Shri Ram and Jai Bhim everyone. Welcome to the third episode of the Dalits of Hinduism series. This series is a humble effort made by us based on several books including Dalits of Hinduism authored by my Guru Sri Sanjeev Nevar, Breaking India authored by Sri Rajiv Malhotra and Sri Arvind Neelakantan, Annihilation of Caste by Baba Saheb, and several of our ancient Puranas, Itihasas and other authentic sources including lessons learnt under the tutelage of renowned gurus to understand the role of the so-called Dalits in Sanatana Dharma. In this episode, we shall discuss the word kulam and present you several examples of intermigration of caste and the innately inclusivist concepts of Sanatana Dharma. Kulam is a common word in Telugu, aspired from the Trivarnika model of the caste system, as Varna eventually failed to practically fit into the later day concepts of the caste system, which based professional hierarchy as its prime criterion. The cross-country migration of various tribes who continued to live in close association with other tribes for socio-economic purposes are attributed to have led to the conceptualization of the kulam-based social identification. Soon, tribes became identified as kulams. During the initial phases of the Islamic invasion, most tribesmen are believed to have been individualistically skilled in all forms of art and trade, including agriculture, artisan, leather tannery, weaving, tribal shamsmen, etc., to name a few. It has been postulated that kulam originated from the growing demand for a systemized workforce, along with the need to develop a collective social responsibility and harmony. Kulam is said to have originated as a social construct with the intent of promoting occupational specialization of tribes in order to sustain the growing need of supplies based on demand. The tribe's intent to avoid occupational and trade trespassing is ascribed to the development of the social model of right cum duty. Bharat or India as a nation and Sanatana Dharma as a religion have been severely criticized by the Hindu-phobic Western intelligentsia for its concept, practice and continued prevalence or adherence to the caste system. Further, Indian academicians have been peddling the Hindu-phobic narrative to advocate rampant proselytization in the name of caste atrocities against scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, the so-called Dalits, in order to pander to their Western masters who have funded them generously. While the concept of the caste system has retained its cultural continuity, Bharat has also been the land that has given birth to some of the greatest philosophers, thinkers and social reformers that the world has ever witnessed. While the tenets of Hinduism propound the concept of social inclusion, the evils of caste system and the exclusion of women within the Hindu society and Sanatana Dharma cannot be easily ignored or concealed. However, Sanatana Dharma is not exclusivist, quite the contrary. You cannot blame the pure milk for a bad pudding. The core values embedded deep within Sanatana Dharma reflect the concept of societal inclusion through the philosophy of the Atman. The philosophy of the Atman, as elucidated in the ancient Shastras, particularly the Upanishads, form the basis of Vedanta. The Atman, or the spiritual self, as explained in Sanatana Dharma, is said to be boundless and does not coerce to upadhis including biological, social, psychological or societal limitations. Foundational scriptures of Sanatana Dharma like the Vedas, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam and numerous other texts exemplify that equanimity and the basis of social inclusion are essentially pre-embedded within Hinduism. Megasthenes, who was the Greek ambassador to India around 300 BCE, mentions the cultural, societal and administrative glories of India in his book titled Indica. According to this book, there was no caste system in India, but categorization of profession or work into 7 types. The book dispels caste theories, and the categorization of work depicted in his book Indica is similar to the categorization of labor based on the work as mentioned in the Vedas, known as Varna. Here are some examples. Aitreya Rishi was a son of a dasa but became a Brahmin of the highest order and wrote Aitreya Brahman and Aitreya Upanishad. Aitreya Brahman is considered critical to understanding Rig Veda. The Aitreya Brahman 2.19 states that Ailush Rishi was the son of a dasa and a gambler of low character. However, he researched the Rig Veda and made several discoveries. Not only was he invited by rishis, but was also made an acharya. Vishnu Puran 4.1.14 states that Parishad was the son of the king Daksha but became a Shudra. Further, he did tapasya to achieve salvation after repenting. Had tapasya been banned for Shudras, as per the fake story from Uttara Ramayana, how could Parishad do so? Vishnu Puran 4.8.1 states that Shaunak became Brahmin, though born in a Kshatriya family. In fact, as per Vayu Puran, Vishnu Puran and Harivansh Puran, sons of Shaunak Rishi belong to all four Varnas. Similar examples exist in the Grit Samad, Vitavya and Rit Samiti. Mahabharat Anushasan Parva chapter 3 states that Matanga was the son of a Chandal but became a Brahmin. Ravan was born as a Brahmin, the son of Vishrava Rishi of Pulastya clan but became a Rakshasa. Pravriddha was the son of a Raghu king but became a Rakshasa. Trishanku was a Kshatriya king but became a Chandal. Sons of Vishwamitra became Shudra. Vishwamitra himself was a Kshatriya who later became a Brahmin. Vidur was the son of a Dasi but became a Brahmin and minister to the Hastinapur Empire. So it is pretty evident from all these examples that we discussed today that the caste system was a foreign concept introduced by the British to divide and rule our great nation. In our next episode, we shall discuss the historical and socio-political identity of the so-called Dalits. See you then. Jai Hind.